Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unconventional Attorney Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Small, and I am the Unconventional Attorney. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it as always. I wanted to take a minute. You're going to see in a minute, and if you're watching this on video, that the rest of the episode is a little bit different. You may notice that the audio quality is a little bit different as well. The reason for this is quite simple. Today, I have decided to give you not just a sneak peek inside of my weekly boardroom meeting that I have for Inner Circle members, like I do if you subscribe to the newsletter. I'm going to let you see the entire thing. To give you a quick rundown, the way that we do the weekly boardroom meetings is every week is a different theme. Week 1 is marketing. Week 2, advertising. Week 3, sales. Week 4, lifestyle design / productivity. However, every once in a while, there is a 5th week that I call the unicorn. And this was a unicorn week. So what I like to do for these unicorn weeks is have somebody come in and just drop some straight knowledge. And this week was no different. So you will see and hear who I had come into the meeting here very shortly. But I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce this content to you so you have an idea and understanding of what it is and where it's coming from, and also to invite you to come and check out the Inner Circle. If you are interested in seeing what it's all about, because it's way more than just a weekly meeting. I have training, I have live events, I have all kinds of exciting stuff for you, and I guarantee you 100% that you will become a better law firm owner, that you will make more money, that you will live a better life if you are a part of this group. It's set up for that specific reason and for that specific goal. There are no long-term contracts. You don't have to sign up for anything. If you don't like it, you can quit anytime you want. And if you don't like it in the first 30 days, you can tell me and I'll give you back that first month. So there's no risk. If you want to check it out, just go to theunconventionalattorney.com /inner circle. theunconventionalattorney.com /inner circle. If you're a law firm owner and you've been struggling or you've plateaued and you don't like your life, you're working too hard, things aren't fun, come and join us. I will help you. That's it. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Hey everybody, it's Christopher Small. As always, here for a Thursday boardroom meeting. It is, I'm calling these the unicorns. It's one of those rare times when we have a 5th Thursday in the month. So whenever these unicorn opportunities pop up, I'm going to try to get somebody in here to come and hang out with us. Before I get to that though, by the way, before I even do that, I'm going to pull you guys up here so I can see what's going on. All right, Nick is here, Dawn's here. What's up, guys? Darcel, hello. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling this up on my computer too so I can see the comments and the flow going through. Perfect. Okay, I'm breaking the third wall because I can see myself right behind myself. All right, so I want to give everybody a couple minutes to come on. While I was doing that, I wanted to tell you a story about a syndicate member that decided to drop out. If you guys don't know what the syndicate is, it's one-on-one coaching that I do for some people. I never talk about it. I don't advertise it because it's not a big part of like this thing. I really do it more for fun, and so I take just a very, very limited number of people. And I had somebody that quit the other day. One of the reasons that they quit, the main reason that they quit, I think, was that they said that I didn't reach out to them and try to set up meetings with them like on the regular. And I talked a little bit about this in the newsletter on Sunday, but I want to reiterate it here for all of you because there's such a tremendous opportunity here for everyone to get a lot out of this group and to get more out of this group than almost all of you are getting. And the point of this group is not for me to just teach you stuff all the time. The point of the syndicate is not for me to schedule meetings. The point of all this is for you to take an active role in the success of your law firm. And a lot of you are not doing that. What you give, you will often get. And I want to just take this opportunity to, emphasize the importance of participating, of taking control of your own success, of not waiting for me to reach out to you to set something up, but reaching out to me, asking me questions, coming here to these meetings every week with questions ready to ask and ready to participate and learn and get in here and try these things and do these things. I think that a lot of us, myself included sometimes, joins groups like these and joins things and gets programs, and sort of the getting of the program feels like a significant event. Feels like, I've made some progress, I've done something, now I can sort of go back to my regularly scheduled program and sort of just do my thing. And that's not the way that it works. The groups that I'm a part of, I'm doing my best to participate. I'm still not doing enough even in my own groups, but the more that you do, the more you will get. All right. And I just wanted to, again, reiterate that, point that out to you. And the other thing too is, if you're not seeing the success that you want, it's going to sound bad. It's your fault. Okay. Most of the time, it's your fault. Do the things that you're supposed to be doing. Go after the things you're supposed to be going after. Allow the amount of time that needs lapse for things to start working, and just trust what you're doing and keep doing it. Consistency is key. So I wanted to start with that. The other thing I wanted to mention, I actually talked to Darcel about this. There is, a lot of you are on an old membership sort of status. There's a new membership status that's going to get you access to all of the old live event recordings, and will also get you a one-on-one session with me. I think I'm doing those every year. That's what I'm doing. I don't know, that's probably not even enough, but it's better than nothing. You can come in here and get basically one-on-ones with me every week anyway. If you guys are interested in that, if you want to get access to the recordings now and all the recordings ever into the future, then maybe just send me a message or something, or say here in the comments that you're interested. Even if you watch this later, it'll pop up and show me a comment, and I'll reach out to you and tell you about how that works. What else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, unconventional attorney media, right? This is done for you, content distribution and Facebook ad service. I have a couple people that have hopped in and it's going. And if you're interested in that, let me know. Basically, you just have to hop on here like this, record your video, and walk away. I'll make a podcast and put it out there, YouTube channel, put it out there. We'll do LinkedIn, we'll do website, YouTube. If I didn't say YouTube, I think there's something else that I'm missing. Oh, and we'll do Facebook ads for you. So we'll run the content behind that on the Facebook ads according to sort of that strategy that I've laid out several times. So it's $1,000 a month, and it plus your ad spend, which can be as little as like $200 or $300 a month if you want. But the whole point of that is to just give you every opportunity to make as much content as you can and not have to worry about all of the logistics on the back end. So think about that. At $1,000 a month, you get one new client every month from something like that. You are making money. Okay. All right. So this is the Unicorn Show. All right. If you guys have questions, let me know. Okay. If you don't have questions, then save your questions anyway, because I have a special guest. I promised you that I was going to reach out and I was going to ask him to come on here and talk with me, and I've been able to do that. He is in the house. His name is Nic Peterson. He is, so to tell you a little bit about Nic, he is I mentioned before that I'm in some groups. He is sort of the organizer of the group, the leader of the group, I guess. His group is a little bit different than this one, in that we don't do regularly scheduled programming like this. We meet every quarter together live, and then there's sort of the opportunity to reach out and get help and participate in the things that he's creating from time to time. But that group really takes into account the you get out what you put in sort of approach, because if you're not reaching out, you can just do nothing and just meet up every quarter, get your plan for the next quarter, and then go on to the next thing. I will tell you as well, I'm paying between 10, 15, and like 100 times what you guys are paying to be in this group. And I think that when it comes to the investment that you're willing to make in yourself and the investment that you're willing to make in your business, you need to take into account what the return on that investment is. How much money does it also going to take you to sort of take action, right? At what point are you going to say, I'm actually going to do this? So think about those kinds of things. Nic is, I'll let him introduce himself and talk a little bit about what he's done. He's not a lawyer or a law firm owner. He's owned some brick and mortar businesses. He's owned some digital businesses. He's really good at making all of these like crazy connections. He's hung out with like Elton John, and he's done all kinds of weird things. He knows a whole bunch of people in like the internet marketing industry, and I actually didn't realize this until we were at this meeting here in Seattle. He flew up here, and he's like a mover and a shaker. I didn't realize what to what level he's a mover and shaker. So anyway, I'm going to try to bring him on, and then we're going to talk. I told him today what I really wanted to talk about. I sort of want to pick his brain and just have a conversation with him about brick and mortar businesses, right, which we have, and the things that we can do to make them successful, typically from a marketing and a branding and an advertising standpoint, but also, there's a lot of mindset that goes into this. If you guys, by the way, his name, so he's on here. If you find him, I don't know if it'll show, he'll leave a comment maybe or something, but he's got some other free groups out there. I'd encourage you to go look at those. He drops a lot of great sort of little knowledge bombs from time to time, basically every day. Talks about a lot of cool stuff, and is a good person to sort of check out. All right, so let me see if I can pull him in. I don't know how this works. I'm gonna try to find him. I'm supposed to be able to like invite him in. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. I've never done this before. So if he wants to come on, and I don't know how the volume works. I know nothing works. So we'll see what happens. He's connecting. Oh, okay, cool. What's up? Can you hear me?
Let me see if I can get better. I don't know if my internet sucks or yours sucks or what.
It's probably, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'll close that. That will probably help.
It's likely mine. My office is not the closest to the Wi-Fi thing, but great intro. You can just keep talking about me if you want.
You're a very important person. I didn't even realize, like I said, I didn't even realize until we were in that group, and everybody's like, dang. I was like, dang, okay. That's how we do this. So why don't you, the easiest thing to do is sort of maybe just tell everybody a little bit about sort of who you are and how you got into business.
Yeah, I think that's a complicated question, right? Like, even people that are in my life and know me well don't even know the story. I think I just did a podcast interview. He's a great interviewer, so really pulled some stuff out. And the question's always like, how'd you get into business, right? And for me, it's always been an accident. It's always been like, I just want to solve this effing problem. Who can help me? And out of the maybe 10 major problems we've had in life, somebody's been able to help me, and 3, 4, 5, about 6 of them ended up being a business venture, and 3 of them have been brick and mortar. This is actually, you can see right here, this is actually I'm in an office now. I absolutely, for anybody listening, you're all brick and mortar, right? Most of your people, or all your people?
Yeah.
I was just telling Chris, we were up in Seattle, and we were in somebody else's office, or in Dan's office, and I so envy brick and mortar. I got out of it and I'm just getting back into it because it's so much fun. The grass is always greener on the other side, but I
What do you love about it?
there's a tangible aspect to it which I like. I'm a very fingertip feel guy. I really like to have conversations. There's stuff like this. There's Facebook Live. There's Zooms, but it just doesn't compare to having somebody sit across from you. You know, having conversations, getting to know about their family, getting to know about the things they do, and it's cool when you're brick and mortar and you're local because the things they like to do are like in your backyard. You know, so it's just there's just with the remote stuff.
Yeah, I think it's nice too. I think it's easier. I found, because I'm doing a brick and mortar and sort of a non-brick and mortar. Like branding, getting people to know you, I think is also a little bit easier, particularly because we're not in a crowded market. I mean, well, it's crowded sometimes from a number standpoint from people, but not from a competitive, sophisticated business owner kind of a thing. And so it makes it a little easier. And the work that you put in is definitely more cumulative because the same people are seeing it over and over again, right? Because they live in your town. Like you can do all kinds of weird things and just paper people to death, and they can't help but know you and use you, and obviously with the content stuff that I've been doing, all that stuff just works like
Well, in fairness, there's a, and I assume all your people are kind of like what I call MKP, my kind of people. They resonate with you. If you're an a-hole, like if you're a shitty service provider, just kind of an a-hole, you get away with it a lot longer online, you know. But
Right.
if you're just a good person and you really deliver, it only takes one or two. Like I had, I think I gave you guys an example. I had a pediatrician who I had no idea who he was, but came in and had a phenomenal experience with us back with my first business and brought us millions of dollars worth of clients because he's the pediatrician for the affluent crowd in that town. And so there's that happens,
Right.
man. When you have like a 15-20 mile radius that the majority of your business comes, it's much easier to pull, to find the levers that are going to do a lot of work for you.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I sort of know some of the answers to these questions, but it's kind of fun to have somebody. By the way, just so you know, if you didn't already feel special, you are the first person to ever appear inside the Inner Circle ever, first ever. So this is the inaugural unicorn episode, and you are the first unicorn that I've been able to snag and get inside this room. So there's that. But one of the I wanted to just take this opportunity to sort of tap into the knowledge that you have and the expertise and things like that. And I'm curious to know, or if you can tell sort of what. All right, so this is kind of, I gave you a decent intro, but people don't really know who you are and what you're doing. What do you like? What are some of the things that you're working on right now, and what is working well for you in what you're doing?
We do a lot. We do a lot, and it's just a background. I have 5 active companies right now. One of them is my partner is a big data guy. He's one of the founders of HostGator, and he can do things that like I don't even understand. And so we have a lot of that stuff. We have a lot of big people. We have the Jay Abrahams of the world and the Steve Sims of the world, really big names that come and partner with us. But I'm telling you, without like the most effective, and it shifts a little bit, the most effective thing we're doing right now is exactly what we did in Seattle. Having conversations. A lot of the paid advertising is swinging and missing for a lot of offers that have worked forever. The consistent is video. Video and audio are still working. If you're not doing video and audio, you're ding dong, start doing it. Especially if you're brick and mortar, because you got that radius and you can pay a few bucks and just like build that awareness and that trust. Video still works. Audio still works. I'm doubling down on podcasts. I'm launching 3 next week.
Yeah.
Um,
What kind of niches are those? What sort of like niches are you in? You're doing sort of coaching consulting, right? Is one. You've got sort of ad
yep.
agency type of a thing, right?
Yeah, so we're the big
One. What
data
else are you doing?
agency. We do done for you and a really high level done with you systems, operations, hiring, firing, just everything that runs your business. That's the velocity method. So
Yep.
we install a framework to make decisions. You know, as well as anybody, I have a very particular way that I make decisions, and we kind of install that framework into other companies to help them scale without wanting to kill themselves. Um, from the
Yep.
advertising, well, both from the consulting and the advertising side, we have partnerships with OPI nail polish. So we're getting really creative with ways to sell nail polish, and we're looking at getting about 33% of that. Just got a partnership with Austin
Nice.
Adventures, which is they're pretty cool. If you go to austinadventures.com, luxury travel, so very similar to what Steve Sims does with the luxury concierge. We're doing a lot of business development for them,
Yep.
but and then obviously fitness. I built seven. I've built 3 companies in fitness. 2 of them hit 7 figures. 1 hit 8 figures, and I burnt them all down because I didn't have the decision making framework I have now. So now we're starting to go back. I still own most of the intellectual property. We're going to go back and start relaunching all the fitness stuff. So it'll be
Okay.
fun.
Nice. All right. So you have a group of small business owners in here, brick and mortar. What are some of the things that you think we should know? Like where so you because these a lot of you have similar people in our group too, so like what are some of the things that you see as sort of levers that you can pull quickly to either increase productivity, obviously everybody wants to make more money, or some combination of the two to be happier,
Yep. Step 1.
right?
Yeah. Step
Drop some
1
knowledge
is
on
something that business
yeah.
owners never do. It's going to be almost overly simple, but step 1 is like, I don't care how long you've been in business. You do this really well, Chris. Is like step back and figure out what you want your life to look like. Because I'm telling you right now, there
Right.
are 47 million different ways to grow your business. But if you can say like, look, I want to be home by 5 p.m. I don't want to deal with a-holes, and I want to take weekends off, that eliminates about 85% of them. Right.
Right. Yeah, and you'll find I think when I think when you do that too, what you'll find often is that you need a lot
Yep.
less money than you thought to accomplish the goals that you want. Like everybody wants to make $1 million, but it doesn't always translate to what you actually want
Yep.
or
And that's
need.
the big one. That's the big, like, these arbitrary goals and timelines. $1 million by the end of next year. And I just want to know what that's going to do for your life, because that could be the worst life that you've ever had. I've seen people that have gone
Right.
out of the $1 million to their top line or bottom line in a year, and similar to one of the first 3 companies that I had, I just walked away. So it's that. So if we're talking specifically brick and mortar, there's a few things. One, stay off the internet as far as like just consuming whatever internet marketers are saying. Just don't. We go in all the time, and I envy people that have a legitimate, it doesn't have to be pretty, just like a legitimate website that gets traffic from search. That doesn't happen in the internet world. We don't get free traffic. And it's a great opportunity for brick and mortar to, like,
Right.
if they type in, I want a CPA in Seattle, boom, Dan Nicholson, nth degree CPA shows up. I'm envious of that. I don't get that. So if you don't have just like a basic website with SEO, just do that. 2, I heard you talking about it before. Video within like a 20-mile radius is hands down the best investment you can make. If you don't like doing video, just like get over it.
Yeah. I've been talking about I talk about it all the time, but particularly in about the last 6 to 8 weeks, I have had literally a full calendar every single day, and that's
Yeah.
all I do. Like I just do the video every day. I'm not even putting a bunch of money behind it, which is insane. And it's just killing. And everybody that comes in says, I had a dude, I had this guy freaking come in today. He did it. So one of my paralegals got a job at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and it's like some kind of it's like some kind of it's a governmenty kind of a job where they have to do background checks and stuff. So like this pro background check guy came in, and as he left, he's like, dude, you got videos, don't you? And I was like, yes, I do. But it's crazy, and so I just can't. I feel like a broken record because that's all I'm talking about all the time. But it's really like the only thing that I'm doing, and it just kills. You just have to do it a lot. You know, you have to do it consistently, and you have to. That's it. You don't even have to be good. You know, you just have to do it. That's I think part of the problem with this group, and I keep trying to tell them all the time, just keep doing more videos. And then, but I'll say this too, and this goes to the reason that, you know, and I talked to you about this little agency thing that I'm sort of doing is, you know, you making the videos itself and just walking away is not enough. You still have to distribute it, but all the channels are free for the most part and relatively easy to do, but you have to do the whole thing. You know, you can't just stop at one spot, or you're going to miss out on a big stream of
Yeah, it's
potential
also
business.
just inefficient. Like it's silly to
Crazy.
not repurpose it, and it's so simple. And like, so brick and mortar, that's the big thing. We work by and large. We only work with people that have like infinite upside or they're brick and mortar, because it's an unfair advantage. Like I could take my internet offers, and they're very hard to advertise because advertising is competitive. Anybody that's willing to make a video right now, we'll take them. It's still just it's the easiest way to market and sell. So there's that, and there's also the bumpers concept, right? Where like, and I heard you talking about this a little bit before, is that gap between, okay, so I invested in this program or I made this plan, so that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and then there's this gap between what you're supposed to be doing and what you're actually doing. And I would not do anything, because brick and mortar, the other thing about brick and mortar is like you actually have a business to run. A lot of internet marketers can spend all day marketing and selling and marketing and selling and marketing and selling. They don't have that much other stuff to do. By and large, real business owners have enough to do, like on paper, that if they just spent this, okay, look, I'm going to do video. That's how I'm going to market. I'm going to pay Chris or my VA to distribute it appropriately, right? And then the rest of the time should be spent not adding new things, but like developing systems and behavior modification, like, you know, habit modification systems, actually doing the things that you said you're going to do for the last 5 years that you haven't done. Like that's really that's
for sure.
We just keep adding shit. Like, oh, I know I really need to make video, but I added this thing. And like, you should have just made video. Spend your time doing the things that you already planned on doing. And then,
getting in identifying those things too. I think that steal your time. You know, like how. By the way, if hopefully you guys are all watching, answer a question for me right now. How many of you have like the ping set up when an email comes in, it pings you, or you have your email open all the time? If that's you, raise your hand like this, like a little bit. Because I know some of you are, because when I'm talking to you on the phone, I can hear the pings. It's kind of it's those little things that add up to big gains, like on a daily basis. And you know, the other secret to my firm is like I think I work on my firm like maybe 20 hours a week. You know, because this stuff for me is the super fun stuff. So this is where I spend all the time, even though I don't hardly make any money on it. This is where I spend all my time because it's fun. And the systems and stuff that I've created allow me to do all this stuff. And all of you can do it too. You just have to actually
Do you
do it,
share,
which
not
is
to
the key.
like
So
put you on the spot or throw you under the bus, do you share systems? Because I think um, brick and mortar, the other thing about real business owners have employees and like people that walk in and email going off all the time. Don't have any kind of parameters for like decision making. What do I focus on? What do I not focus on? And that's another killer. Like the email's a good
especially,
example, but you
yeah,
also have like employees that will find anything to distract you or anything to do except for the thing that's going to move the needle.
for sure. I have conversations about this all the time. So, for example, my paralegal is only allowed to come and talk to me twice a day. Once, well, really 3 times a day. Right in the very beginning of the morning, she gets to come in and say, "This is the one thing I need you to do today
Mm-hmm.
to move all of my shit forward. Like this is the one thing that I need you to do today because it's the one thing that's sort of like making me anxious over here because I'm waiting on you to do it." That's the first thing. And then around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, basically, she gets to come in and ask me all the questions that she wants about whatever's come in during the day. And then she gets to do the same thing, like about around 3 o'clock or 3:30, because I leave at 4, to do the same thing all over again. And that way, I'm not getting because there's the other thing too that I think sometimes we have a hard time getting over. Like I don't care if she's busy or not. I don't care if she's waiting or not. I don't care if she's just waiting for me to do something. Like my main job is not to keep her busy. Um, Her main job is to allow me to do the things that sort of maximize my time and my productivity. And when you approach sort of your people in that way, then you can set these things up so it works like that. Sometimes she tries to walk in, I literally say, "Look, I don't want to know. I know you have questions right now, and you cannot tell me them because I'm not going to reward you for walking into my office right now. You have to go back and come back later." And she thinks it's funny, and I think it's funny. But then, like over time, she actually understands it. And then I think also when that happens, she can see how my productivity goes up, which also helps her because then I get more stuff to her faster. So it's like this feedback loop that's actually good if you can set it up in this way. But you have to be intentional about it and you have to think about it and you have to take the time. What happens, I think, to a lot of people is they'll say these things and then 10 minutes later, their person will walk in and ask them a question and they'll answer it. And then it's like, you're not actually taking the time to implement. So um,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff is super important. And it steals time. Every time you have to switch, it's like context switching, right? Every time you have to switch, it takes
That's
time.
the hardest part. It's really difficult when everybody's on site. We don't build in the feedback loops. That's really like because it's so easy to just be like, "Hey, Jim, is this working? Cool, thanks." We don't know where we're at. We don't know what's done, what's not done. We just assume if something's on fire, somebody's going to come in and say something. But let me tell you what I love most about the brick and mortar, and it's very much my unique disposition. The opportunity to build relationships that other people just don't. They just don't, and it might be a little bit different. I guess depending on what kind of law you practice, right? Like um, what kind of people you're working with. But there's things like um, we talked about. I know I told you about the Einstein's thing. I used to have
Yeah.
a place where I would just like be like, hey, especially because I did a lot of video and like as a little celebrity in this little tiny town, everybody wanted to talk, and it was like, well, the only way you can talk to Nick, unless you're ready to pay money right now, is he'll be at Einstein's, it's a bagel place, every Sunday from 9 to noon, right? And people would just be like, okay, and one person would come and have a conversation, and then two, we started having like five, and every Sunday people started coming. But then you get like the people that might be too intimidated or would not otherwise reaching out, or maybe they're doing diligence and they just come to check us out because it's not like there's no commitment to go get
Yeah.
freaking coffee and a very, very small commitment compared to like walking into the office. And what happens is your people, your employees, your assistant, your wife, your kids are there and mingling with their kids, and your clients are there, your past clients are there, and they do all the selling for you. and we started having lines around the block. And it was a gym, and I launched a little fitness or a little nutrition program out of it too. Um, we'd have lines
Yep.
around the block of people that just wanted to come hang out on Sunday, and they complete strangers walk by like, what's going on here? Is this a birthday party? I see you here every Sunday. Like, is it your birthday every Sunday? Like, what's going on? And they do all the selling for us. They just say, hey, look,
Right.
these are the people. When you're ready, these are the people that you need to talk to. And you just can't do that. The remote world doesn't offer an opportunity to do that kind of stuff. You have a great setup there.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did you? So I have an interesting question for you. How did you get over that initial? So what if you showed up and like nobody showed up? Like how did you get over that initial, like anxiety or I don't know what you want to call it, but how do you get over that hump and because what I'm trying to think about is this is the first question that pops up in my mind, so I know it's popping up in these guys' minds. Cause I think and to sort of take that one step further on how we could do that, I would say way you could probably do it is it would be less because I've done this in a way. I just didn't stick to it as long as you did. I bought a spot in a farmer's market this right when I started my firm, like the very, very, very beginning, 10 years ago. And I got a sign made up and all it said was lawyer. That was it. And I just sat at this farmer's market and that people would just walk up and they'd be like, hey man, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a lawyer. Do you have a question? And they would ask me questions, and I actually got business from it. And the other thing too is the people that I couldn't help,
Yep.
I had referrals for, which makes it easy to sort of reach out to other people and sort of create other relationships like that. But how do you start to put that into context for everyone that's listening so that they have an idea of how this could work? But how do you get over the initial inertia, right? Or you just tell people about it all the time?
So there is. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you tell somebody to do something and it fails, and then they feel like they're a failure, or they think that you suck because the suggestion sucked or whatever. What I do is, and I build this kind of stuff for people all the time. You figure out how do we make it a plus sum game, because honestly, me and my partner, my business partner, we like going to Einstein's anyway. So worst case, we sat together and had bagel. We had some bagels and some coffee. And so you really think of like, it doesn't, if you can rig it, something you're going to do anyway that you and your family would enjoy, or maybe you have a business partner and it's just nice to have a Saturday meeting at Starbucks. So just invite people to something you're already doing.
Yeah.
But I think the key is you learn to appreciate, and it's the same concept as these videos, right? Learn to appreciate conversation and always bias. What drives me nuts is when people, like, if you were trying to hand out a pamphlet that said, had all the information about your practice, instead of having those conversations, like a big sign that says lawyer, it invites conversation. So if you can just figure out something that would be nice to do anyway, and whatever, right? But then secondly, learn to value the conversation. It might not be a monetary transaction right away, but when you can start referring people, when there's like, people be like, yeah, there's this guy that just sits outside the store with a signed lawyer, and he actually had a great recommendation for like where to get this stuff for our kids or something. Like, people will just show up. They'll be like, oh shit, my friend told you about it. Like, but you have to value. It's the same reason why we pay to put videos in front of people. You have to value the long game and just appreciate that other people will appreciate that you're curious and you have questions and you talk to them. I cannot stand when people give out pamphlets or post their prices, or like any information that is publicly available is a reason for them not to talk to you, right? So I would just find something that you're going to do anyway. Don't go, because it does suck if you're going to say, hey, listen, family, I can't hang out with you because I got to go try this thing. And you go sit somewhere you don't want to be and nobody shows up. Yeah, that would suck. But I wouldn't do that.
Right. I think part of it too is, yeah, and this goes along with what you're saying too, but I think part of it, I think in some ways you have to just be able to have a little bit of fun with it. You know, I talked a little bit about this, like on one of my podcast episodes, I think too, like even in making videos, like the way that you are going to resonate with people is if you're having a good time on the video. You know, like instead of being afraid of like what might happen that's going to not work, just go for it and do the thing.
There's probably
like it was crazy.
There's probably, I don't know, I'm guessing, but I love your personality. There's probably a stigma or like assumptions about what an attorney or a lawyer or a, like is, and you could just blast right through that on video.
Yeah, and the thing is too, everybody has their own personality. You know, like I pretty much know everybody that's in this group. Everybody has their own thing, you know, their own sort of personality trait that's endearing that people like. You know, because even have you ever seen the movie? Like this is what I use. I use these analogies. You ever watch? You ever seen the movie The Accountant?
Yeah.
With Ben Affleck. All right. Okay. So and then like what's the damn it, Harvey Specter is a lawyer on a show, but I can't remember what the name of the show.
Probably haven't seen it.
I'm an idiot. But anyway, imagine the opposite of Ben Affleck's character in The Accountant, right? The point is, you can be either one of those people or anywhere in the middle, but as long as you're going to resonate with someone. Like even if you're dry and like really by the book and into the numbers and into the stuff like that, there's a group of people that are going to resonate with that. You know, there's certainly a group of people that don't resonate with me because I'm too informal. You know, like I'm not lawyery suits. I'm not lawyery enough. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay because for the people that do resonate with me, they love it. You know, and so it's just own your shit and just do what you want to do. You know, just be you.
There's
and it will work.
For those of you listening that because I see some of the comments, I'm finally looking at my screen too. Is it okay if you sound like a broken record? Here's the thing. I'm sure you addressed that. There's aspirational, analytical, and it's an alliteration to keep it easy. Aspirational, analytical, anthropological, and aspirational, analytical, anthropological, and actionable are generally the four main ways people deliver. Like aspirational, that's not me. I don't tell these like elaborate stories of rags to riches, but there is a segment of the population that does, and they have people that love that content. And there's analytical. There are the dry people that just talk about stats, and they have their own, like, that's a segment of people that love the analytical. I'm more anthropological in the sense that I talk about human behavior a lot. There's actionable. Frank Kern's a great example. You're probably a great example. Here's what I'm doing. You should go try it right now. Those are all completely different personalities, and if you can identify where you fit and you just lean into that, there's a huge segment of the population that will just love your stuff, and they'll resonate, and they'll give you lots of money, and you'll be the only person they go to when the time comes.
Yeah, and to sort of piggyback on that too, when it comes to it's okay to feel like you're sounding like a broken record. You're going to feel like that because you are talking about a lot of the same issues and concepts over and over and over again. But the way that I do it is every day somebody asks me a new question, and it's sort of a riff on the same question, and I just answer the question that's asked of me specifically, and I talk about the facts of that question in my story. You know, so like if it's a grandma that comes and asks me about transferring the title of her property for her grandson, I tell that story and I talk about why you don't want to do that. If it's a brother that wants to do it for a sister, I just tell a story and I talk about the same thing. But the other thing you have to remember is not everybody sees all of your content either. You know, they're not watching your stuff every single day. And even if they are, them hearing it over and over and over again is actually a good thing because it sort of reinforces your message, and they're not hearing it as like you are. They don't know it like you are. So for them to hear it more and more and more, it actually teaches them the concepts that you want them to learn And I think you're more likely to actually get them to take action if they have heard you say the same thing a couple times, because the first time it may not sink in, particularly when we're talking about law
And
stuff.
to be a little more abstract, but it's true. And I think it's really, really important because I had the same hang up. Like I was like, God, what am I going to talk about? I already talked about all this stuff. But you think about if your content is educational and it's useful and it's goodwill and it's providing perspective or insider information, it's like a good book. Like when you finish a good book, if the book does its job, you're actually a slightly different person than when you started. And you ever reread a book 6 months later and it meant something completely different to you? It is word for word exactly the same thing. And the second time you read it, you're like, whoa, that totally makes sense because I just went through this thing. I didn't pick up on this last time. Your content's very similar. Like they're in a different state. They might be in a different, they might be in more pain than they were the first time because of their situation. They're gonna receive that content differently. They're gonna interpret it differently. So even the same exact word for word book means something completely different for somebody 6 months or a year later. The chances are I do it too. I'm guilty of it when I watch. I probably watch a video. I'm like, whoa, that is really good. And it's new to me. And I've probably seen it before. Like we don't really remember these things.
Yeah.
So I would just keep the same stuff out over and over, say it differently, frame it differently. People, I think Chris probably does this because we've talked about it. You can take one video and chop off like the first minute and the last minute. And even people that watch the first video will feel like it's a completely different video just because it started a little bit different. So I wouldn't worry at all about being a broken record.
Yeah, they'll just you just can't talk about it too much. What happens anyway too when it comes to attorneys most of the time is that people don't start consuming your content until they think they need you or the need arises. And what they do is they'll just grow and they'll just fire hydrant your content anyway. So you don't really have to worry about saying the same thing over and over. Like let's say in a month span, you talk about the same thing 5 different times. It doesn't really matter because you're probably not going to be hitting the same person all the time because they come into your world when they need you, get it all, and then they're out, right? Either they hire you or they don't, or the need passes or something happens. It's not like, for example, even with fitness or something, it might be a little bit harder to do because people will stick with fitness for a long time, right? But the way I always do this is I try to look out there at the people that I'm watching and trying to sort of like, model myself after. But Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about the same stuff.
Yes, three things he talks about.
He literally tells the same. Yep. Always. But you know what? I still like to listen to him because the message is a good one. And like I can't hear it. I just can't hear it too often. I don't listen to all of this stuff. And I usually don't listen to the clips, but the long ones, like on the podcast, I'll listen to that same damn message over and over and over again because it's good. It's a good message and it resonates, so you don't have to worry about it, I don't think, as much. As long as you're providing good value, people will keep listening.
Yeah. And it's it's a serious barrier. People worry about that, but I would just keep more of the same content is a lot better than no content. That's step one. So
for sure.
But right now for brick and mortar specifically, we have, I want to say we run ads for, I think I have the same coffee you have, by the way.
I cannot get rid of this thing, by the way. It's ridiculous.
I'm on like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of just
sick.
I don't feel bad.
Me
I just
too.
Can't stop coughing. So we run ads right now for probably 35 or 40 brick and mortar local, and there's no lower hanging fruit. It is the simplest. It's not complicated at all. If you can do 2 things, and we do see a difference in the return, and it's not in the metrics, right? So it's not anything with click-through rate. And it's fine. There's certain companies that don't really want to talk to people. They're just like technicians. And there's certain companies we have
Right.
that build a culture of just like family, community, yada, yada, yada. In all industry, like flower shops, like it's not an industry specific thing. Um,
Yep.
but there's positive ROI for everybody that will just make video, period. There's a exponential ROI on people that are taking a little bit of time to have conversations and build a bit of a community. I don't know if everybody's they're doing more diligence. I think they're a little bit the buyer cycle has definitely gotten longer. In internet marketing, we used to bank on a 6 to 8 day buyer cycle, and now we've expanded out to 22 or 23 days. So people are taking longer to make a decision. But if you have a little bit of trust built up in your community, you can shorten it right back up. And I think that's your competitive advantage as a brick and mortar is, you know, when you do say, hey, look, I'm really looking for I'm really looking for somebody that does this. I'm really looking for a new couch. They say, well, you got to go to this place. And that's how people are making their buying decision, by and large, based on trust. There's no difference in the metrics. The only thing I can tell you is that people that make an effort to build a community and send thank you cards, which, by the way, guys, if you're watching, this is actually on my desk. That's from Chris. Right?
Nice.
You do stuff like this.
Yep.
You shorten the buyer cycle, which tightens the feedback loop, and then you can measure and manage more effectively. So that's the biggest thing. It's just, man, just have conversations with people, and
Yeah. And I think to give people just a little bit of more specific ideas on how to do that, because I would say I am probably, no one ever believes this, but I actually I'm not super extroverted in the sense that I don't really like to go I don't like to just go talk to people. I'm just not really that into it, to be honest with you. But what I've tried to do is find those things that I'm interested in, and that there are people that are also interested in those same things, and then try to interact in that way, right? So for me, it's um, Chamber of Commerce is kind of an easy one, right? Because you have other business owners, and you can just go, and it's not super networky, so not everybody's trying to sell everybody anything, but I can still talk business, which I love, and there are good people in there, and it's part of the community and stuff like that. And then for me, it's youth sports, right? Because I like to coach my kids' team, and so it gives me an opportunity to just kind of meet some people and do some things like that. So you don't have to do a lot, but I would try to pick the things that you're really interested in and just really get into them. So try to. You don't even have to get leadership positions necessarily, but just if it's Chamber of Commerce, go to their events every week or whatever, and when they do something, just go and this is the other thing that I do too, by the way, which I hate, man. I hate this about going to any of these events. I always make myself go and talk to 5 people that I don't know, and I hate it. It makes me nervous right now just thinking about it because I don't like it. But it kind of becomes one of those things where when you do it, you're going to meet some cool people, and it actually turns out well. And it's actually good for your business over time. It's good for you as a person too. It's nice. It's cool to walk down the street because I'm downtown Kirkland and see people that and say hello, right? It's kind of nice. So to give you sort of some real world ways to execute on these ideas, find what you like.
Yeah, I can tell you, I get referrals. My thing is relationships. If you say what's working in business in general better than anything, it's relationships. It's probably 85% of our business still is referral, which is awesome for being remote. But I get referrals from people that try to send to me because they met me at the dog park. Because I take my, I got 2 huskies.
Right.
I take them to the dog park every day. It's a thing that I do. And that's the other thing specifically about brick and mortar that I love and I envy is just the things that you do in your town can grow your business, which goes back to, inviting
Right.
people to Einstein's for coffee. Just do the things you already do. Just be present and like social in those things. And it's just such a powerful.
And you don't even, and for sure. And you don't even have to be salesy either. Like I typically don't ever even tell people what I do unless they ask, because it'll happen eventually. Like I had a guy, so there's this parent, like one of these parents in my 5-year-old's class. We were at a birthday party. I've known this dude for like 2 years. Like we've been to like parties with all the kids and everything for a lot of times. And he's like, hey man, he's like, are you a lawyer, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, do you know anybody that can make a will for someone? And I was like, yeah, I do. That's like exactly what I do. He's like, oh, no way. So it's like, you don't have to be out there like pushing your handing out business cards and like being all aggressive for this stuff to happen. But you do have to be out there, in the world. Okay, be doing something.
The best thing is to do exactly what you, and I wish I would have had the tools I have now when I was in Vero Beach, when I had the 2 brick and mortar companies. Best thing is make video, get it out there the way that Chris teaches you to do it, because I know his method, and then do the things. If you do the things that make your life as fulfilling as possible, you go out on the boat, you go to the beach, you go to the dog park, for me, whatever, you're going to run into people that have very similar dispositions, because they're also doing the things, right? They also have kids.
Yeah.
So it's shit to talk about. And then here's the trick. If you can give them a card. I don't have cards, but usually like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, you can go to this website, and or you go to Facebook, and like that's my Facebook page. And then if you set up your advertising the way Chris teaches you how to do it and the way that we do it, you just follow them around forever anyway. Like that's really you just make the video, and then you go connect with people because you're living your life. And they just start coming in. They just start like showing up saying, hey, you're a lawyer, right? Can I give you money?
Yeah. By the way, so before I'm going to ask you this question, it's almost 2, so we're going to get out of here pretty soon. But if you guys have any questions about anything specifically, please ask. Okay, we're going to get out of here at 2 for sure, because I got to go do a kid thing. But one of the things that I want you to talk about real quick before we go, because you do a really, really great job of it, and I don't, is using your personal Facebook profile to tell stories. The reason it popped up is because it's sort of that same thing, right? Somebody sees you talk about something on your Facebook page, and they're not selling anything. Google you, or they do something, and they find their website, right?
Yeah. Repeat that. You froze a little bit. I think my internet's.
Oh, using your personal page for business. For business.
First of all, with that,
You're echoey. I think you're. Try to put your earbuds back in.
See if I got one charged.
Oh, or close the case. Or close the case. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think it's better. Oh, but I can't hear you. I can't hear you though.
What about now?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you. Oh, yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So
here's how I get around it, because I don't like to post businessy stuff on Facebook, but I make a lot of money on my personal profile. I say things that show people the way that I think about life. It could be, I post about my puppies. I post about just business in general. I really just post about the things that intrigue me. And I put more time into those than all my other stuff, which might be surprising. Because I want people to go, then what people do is they say, wow, this person is this is an interesting person. I trust this person. They think like I do. And then you just strategically place some links so that if they go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out who you are or Google you, they end up in your they end up on your website, they end up in your funnel, and they end up in your sales process. But it's I never say like if I was a lawyer, right? I wouldn't be like, hey, getting divorced soon? Give me a call. I just talk about things that are really interesting to me, and the underlying, again, I'm an anthropological, like that my content is about human behavior. And so if that's you, you think about like, if you're a great storyteller, just tell great stories on your personal profile. And people will go, wow, that story resonates. And they'll Google you, and they will click on all your links, and they'll end up watching one of your videos, and then they get retargeted with your other videos. Yeah. So I don't think of it as posting. The purpose is to get them as business or as referrers or whatever. But I still think of my personal profile as like personal stuff. It's just stuff that matters to me. And I put, and that's hard. Some people have a really hard time. Like, yes, I am posting for the sake of business, but I'm not posting specifically about the thing I'm trying to sell you, if that makes sense.
Right. It's almost like personal vulnerability, where you're talking about things that you think about that are important to you, that then sort of like just suck people in because they find you interesting, and then they're like, okay, who is this person? What do they do or whatever over time?
Yep, and that's exactly it. And that's, you get this growth where if you post specifically about what you do for people, like your job, like if it looks like an ad, whatever. But if it doesn't look like an ad, if it looks like it's just like a post of something you think about frequently, people will share it. You'll get a lot of concentric eyeballs, like concentric growth.
Yeah.
So it's never, I have no objective with my personal profile outside of showing people that I might be an interesting person.
Right. Yeah, and I think sometimes that too means being able to take a position on something. Like, it doesn't have to be something that makes people angry, but to take a position where people want to respond to you and either agree with you or disagree with you is also really good.
Ask questions.
Like, maybe stay away from politics stuff, but
ask questions. Just ask so I'll give you one more trick about using your personal profile or Facebook in general. Whatever your unique advantage is, don't argue with people, because nobody wins. When you're having conversations on Facebook, don't respond to the person that you're responding to, right? I respond in a way assuming 100 other people are going to read it and try to decide who the more reasonable human is. So I don't respond to like win an argument. I'm responding just to show the way that I think. And that's where most of our organic growth comes from, is the people that are reading and not participating.
Yeah, I think that's good advice for life, by the way. You're never going to change anyone's mind, but it's okay to have a discussion about differing points of view in the hopes that, everybody.
Yeah, and I will always, if I'm at a room with 10 people and I'm talking to one, I will lose that battle to win the war, to influence the other 8 people at the table. So you can do that on Facebook.
For sure. 100%. All right, cool. All right, it's 2, man. I got to go. Thank you so much for your time. Go. You guys can wait. If people want to, can they go friend you or whatever? Like, where
I think a bunch of them just
to see more stuff.
Yeah, go to the Facebook group, Profit and Productivity. I'll make room on my friends list. I hit that every day. I like delete 20 friends and it fills back up. Yeah.
Oh, you're at the top.
But
yeah, go to the group anyway. There's great stuff in the group. It's fun. I'm in there.
All right.
So always sharing good stuff. So thanks Nick. Thanks guys for coming. It's a wrap. I gotta run. See you guys later. Bam. Okay, that was it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That's a little sneak peek inside of what a real life boardroom meeting looks like on the weekly. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And once again, if you want to be a part of this group, I want you, right? I created this whole thing to help law firm owners become better business owners, and ultimately to become sort of their best selves, because you can have it all. You can have your cake and eat it too. So if you want to do that, please go to theunconventionalattorney.com/inner circle. Check it out and come and join us. So that is it for this week. Hopefully you have a great everything. And talk to you again soon. See ya.